Maryanna Hemming once sought enlightenment with restless curiosity, absorbing the Guru's teaching like an aspiring flame. Through years of discipline, doubt, and revelation, she learned that true wisdom unfolds in stillness as much as in seeking. Now, with quiet confidence and deep presence, she embodies the practice, no longer searching, only being. We're having Maryanna Hemming coming on today, and I think she's going to be with us momentarily. We're going to talk about all of her spiritual experiences while she was at the Sri Chinmoy Center and after she left. So it should be a very interesting conversation with a friend of ours, Maryanna Hemming, a former disciple of Sri Chinmoy and a participant in our ex-disciple Facebook page. And there she is.
And here she is, right on cue. Om Shanti Shanti.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
our it's not so humble our abode, but it works. So I guess we're gonna jump right in. So let's start at the beginning. Why don't you just give us an idea about your upbringing and what brought you to the Sri Chinmoy Center, how you got there, and some of the experiences along the way, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I'm coming to you today from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and I was raised here. I come from a family with, I have 7 siblings. My mother was a devout Roman Catholic, so I was raised until I was a young teenager. Oh, no, actually, 18 years old. And what I liked about the Catholic Church was all the rituals and, stuff like that and all the stories. Loved it. But now I don't belong to any church. I'm not into that. So organized religion is not for me. None of my mother's 8 children followed her into the Catholic Church, she wasn't too happy about that, but we're all pretty spiritual in other ways. So growing up, my father died suddenly when I was 12 years old, and that really affected me. So I was kind of like a broken teenager. I rebelled. I didn't do well in school. I drank alcohol and stuff like that, as many of us did. And then, I tried to do what society told me to do, find a good job, make money. But, there's that emptiness inside that still wasn't fulfilled. Should have gone to therapy. Didn't know that then. But I found the Sri Chinmoy posters in downtown Ottawa. I went to Carleton University, and my life changed forever that day. Shadadal, or Roger Calvary, was leading a guided meditation. And I was in the back of the class, didn't know what was going on. No idea very much about Eastern philosophy or religion at all. And no one warned me about this. So I had a super good meditation, silencing the mind, repeating my mantra, which was peace, 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 slowing the breathing, like really slowing. Like you have a feather on your nose and it wouldn't move. That's how slow we're breathing. And next thing you know, bam, I am no longer in my body. I'm floating over the class, looking down at my body, kind of worried about it a bit. Like, no one's watching that body. I'm not there. Then, next thing you know, I'm in the middle of the universe. I am the universe. There's stars going by like Star Trek. The universe is expanding. And this was really cool, but I'm getting scared because I don't know what's going on. As soon as I had a scared thought, bam, I was back in my body. And my heart was so open, like I could see through my third eye, I could see the light, the Kundalini energy going up, and I could see my heart. This was before I left the body. Right before I left the body, this is what I saw first, was the light coming up, and then the heart, thousand petal lotus opened up, then the energy shot through my head. And when that happened, that's when I was out of the body. It was like I was dead or something, but it was pretty scary. And I have no idea what would happen, what was going on. But for days afterwards, I was in love with everybody. I was in love with the universe. I was one with the universe. So when that happened, it was such a great experience. I immediately joined the center, the Sri Chinmoy Center. And when I got there, it was a good experience for me. I was only there 4 years, but I got right into singing. As soon as I heard Akasha on the cassette tape, I was in. That was my life's purpose. And I got to sing some wonderful songs with some wonderful young women. And at one point, I could sing hundreds of songs. It was crazy. And and I'm kind of torn about whether I should be singing these songs, because we know that the guru turned out to be a creep. And we often talked about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And even, Rujo said, no, don't do it. It's bad. You're going to bring bad energy if you sing those songs. So over the years, I'm singing them less and less. But when you sing these songs, they're incredible. It's like, especially with a few people. And at the end of the song, you immediately go into meditation and you can feel your heart center. And it's wonderful. So
Well, first of all, I want to say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And the reason I say that is because after all these years, Gary left in 80, I left in 77. I still listen to this very day the the CD Songs of the Soul that we produced while we were at the center. Now, even though it has the guru's voice on it, it's still so haunting. And the vibration of we were talking about the energy of the word and how the vibration of the word creates something that is reactive to the way you express it. So it's part of the whole intention thing. It is part of the throat chakra vibration. So it can't just be thought of as just vocabulary or speech. It does have a very high spiritual aspect to it. So even though Sri Chinmoy turned out to be something that we weren't really enthralled with after that, his words still have meaning. So if you're into the singing, and you had an experience with the girl singing, I had a very high experience with the girl singing after I left the center that actually freed me. But I want to go back to your experience with Roger Caverly. And could you just explain what started that thing that made your Kundalini start to rise and open your third eye and bring you into that state of samadhi?
I think it was just a really good guided meditation. And another thing you have to do is really relax your body. So I think he might have started at the feet. Okay, relax your toes, relax your legs, all the way up until you're completely relaxed sitting in that chair. I don't think anyone else in that class had the experience I had. And I was a very shy and introverted person. I was around 30 years old. I didn't even find my voice till I was around 40. But what else could I say? I think it was, meditation is actually pretty easy when you think about it. I was like in the prime of my life. I was really healthy. I was athletic. I was just able to relax into the meditation, and it happened. All the dominoes were laid up properly. Does that make sense?
But you came there with an intention, right? You weren't coming there, questioning this whole thing. You weren't skeptical about this whole thing. You really wanted to have an experience. Is that
Well,
right?
I wanted to learn how to meditate because I didn't really know how to do it.
So you surrendered. You surrendered to the whole process.
Yeah, my sister was getting into Buddhism at the time, And she found a teacher in Southern Ontario, and I'm going, well, I want a teacher too. And I also read a yoga, what's that book?
Yogananda's book,
Diary of a Yogi, biography.
autobiography of a yogi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that book. It was like, I want that. So that's one of the reasons I think I went to the workshop.
So when you got to the center, did anything change as far as your being joyful, exalted? I mean, did you have uh, different kinds of experiences there that either elevated you or made you feel different? Can you give
I had
that?
good experiences and bad experiences. Like, I loved the singing part. I was all into that. I I had still had a lot of doubt in the back of my mind as to what's going on, especially when they started asking for like tons of money, like and to me, spiritualism should not be about money. Like, okay, maybe you can ask for some money to, for your livelihood, but that's it. Anyways, it didn't feel right. And then I got depressed because really what I wanted was to get married and have children, and you weren't allowed to do that. So, after a few years, I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then I went to the New Year's meditation in 1999, and they were all going on a Christmas trip. I never went on one Christmas trip. And that's when I left. I just never went back after that. But what can I tell you about some of my experiences in the center?
Yes, absolutely. We want to hear that.
So one of the first times going down to New York, it was a beautiful summer night, and we were doing walk past meditation in front of Guru, holding our hands, and I just naturally went into a really nice place. And as I walked by, as I was approaching him, everything became really, really focused. I don't know what the word is, like pronounced. I was looking at the girl's sari in front of me, and I could see every wave of the sari. And I found out later that means that you're in a pretty good meditation. But I was still walking and I was aware. And when I walked past Guru, he goes, good, 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 good. And so he was impressed with my meditation. But a couple of years later, we were at PS 86, and we had just driven all the way from Ottawa. I was tired. It was a 7-hour meditation sitting in the chair. I mean, we got up, we got breaks and stuff. So then he said we're supposed to focus on a book he wrote and focus on one line, and I just couldn't do it. And then I got called out. He was really mad at me. And at the end of the meditation, he didn't want to give me prasad, but I really wanted that prasad. So I just took it. But I don't know. They say if you get called out by your guru, it's actually a good lesson. You're supposed to learn something from that. And can I tell you my aloe experience?
Tell us about aloe.
Aloe Debbie.
Okay, so I remember this because Harry Rob Brummer was on a couple of weeks ago. That's his aunt, correct? And yeah, they were Canadian, yeah, just like me. So, anyways, we were at PS 86, and it was during celebration, so it was just packed with people from all over the world. And we always let the people from Europe up front, so I just stayed in the back because I could go to New York fairly easily compared to them. And I was in the back, and then someone comes running out, Aloe Debbie's coming, Aloe Debbie's coming. Oh, before that, she was giving a talk about how she was a diamond. And I think she was talking to the new disciples because I didn't even know who this woman was. No one told me. I didn't get the memo. And she goes, I'm a diamond. You need to like worship me like you worship Guru and stuff. And I'm going, what? Who is this person? So
wait, she's saying this verbally?
Yeah, verbally in the front of the auditorium.
Okay.
This was in like around 1998 or something.
Whoa.
And then I think it was Keaton or someone comes running out. Allah's coming. Allah's coming. Everybody fold your hands. And everybody's folding their hands. And I'm going, I'm not folding my hands. I don't know who this person is. And Guru even said, don't fold your hands to people you don't know, right? So she walks out and she looks right at me. And I somehow I call it a spiritual thunderbolt. It felt like energy coming right into my heart, and it burst open, and then she's smiling when she did it. And I'm going, what just happened? And then she walked out. So she must have had some occult power as well.
Ironically enough, in the history of the center, ironically enough, now you're talking about the 1990s. When I was there in the decade from 1970 to 1980, and in 1976, that was the year that Guru. It was a whisper campaign to only those who he trusted, that Alo Devi, the divine mother of the universe, had, quote unquote, this is a quote, lost her realization. And then after that, everybody was playing games with Alo Devi. They would bow to that. But when she handed out prasad, those in the know would take the prasad and throw it away, and a shrita would go around with a garbage bag collecting the prasad that Allah handed out, because we wouldn't eat her prasad because she was fallen. And yet 20, 30 years later, they're still playing the game. Guru's still alive. He didn't die until 2007. They're still playing the game, but behind the scenes, those in the know that she's not even realized. So it was such a charade. It blows my mind.
Yeah, it really was.
Except that you had an experience with her.
Yeah.
So it's your internal being, your higher being, your soul, whatever it is, that recognizes something, because you said that you didn't fold your hands when she came by, and yet when she did come in front of you, uh, you were, probably indifferent about it, but something sparked inside of you from either her smile or your recognition, your inner being's recognition that she had something more to give to you than you had anticipated.
Yeah.
And I guess the same thing happened to you when you went to the first meditation. That inner drive that is with us all probably recognized there was something more there, and you were drawn to it, and had an awesome, awesome experience that first time.
It was pretty cool. I still don't understand all of it. Radha told me that it was, what do they call it? Samadhi. I reached samadhi, but it never happened again. It was just that one time, and life returned to normal. I could never replicate all the circumstances.
Well, samadhi's been thrown around a lot. If you go on the internet, there's all these people telling you how to reach samadhi here, how to reach samadhi there. So everything is different than it was back in the 70s when
People can talk about anything now. That's why I'm here today. I feel okay to talk about it. They said in the past you shouldn't talk about your spiritual experiences, because by sharing it, there will be doubters and they will diminish your experience. But this is the age of Aquarius. We can talk about anything now.
And the reason why we can talk about it now, because now spiritual experiences are the common thing, and we've all had them, and everybody you run into has had these different things you've had with via Roger and via Alo or via Guru, and this other one has this other thing. We interview people all the time with different gurus, so now it's like no big deal. Whereas perhaps in way back whenever, it was like, oh, don't tell this, because now people are like, yeah, okay, so yeah, great, that's interesting, and let me tell you about mine, kind of thing. So yeah, things are open now, and this is what I love, is we can talk about these things frankly. We don't have to dance around, beat around the bush. If you think the guru's a creep, then fine, you can say it. If you think, oh no, he was really a nice guy, okay, fine, whatever you want. But there's none of this dancing around and intrepidation. We can tell it like it is, and call a spade, and be totally free and open with that. So I'm really glad that you're bringing this quality to the table and to the fore.
I have something to say. So I'm a devotee of the Divine Mother, whatever that means to you. And
It's
this woman,
a lot to me, and I want to talk about that specifically. Go ahead.
So this woman wrote a book about the Virgin Mary, and she goes up at a book club, and there's like probably 100 people there. And her first question was, has anyone here had an experience with the Divine Mother? 75% of the people in the room raised their hands. And she was blown away. She thought it was like a rare thing. But I've had an experience. Stefan, have you?
I had, well, being Jewish, I never really uh, identified with Mary. I do have a significant connection to Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And since I've spent so much time in churches doing weddings, I've identified very deeply with that. And I had an angel experience
I
in a
heard your
church.
it's wonderful.
So, if you have the ability of sight into the other realms, which a lot of people will say that's just your imagination, and it's very possible it is. But I believe the imagination is tied to the multidimensional world. Um, I had such a powerful angel experience that from that point on, I think I really identified with the whole Mary, Mother. Now, as far as the Hindu goddesses, no. I do identify with Shiva very strongly. I think that's my biggest identification. But as far as the mother, that goddess thing, I don't think I've ever really. Look, you have to give thought to a lot of these things. And then you have experiences after you've given thought to them. My participation as a photographer during weddings, I've never had an experience. Oh, yes, I did. I'll take that back. I had one very powerful experience at a Jewish wedding, and that was it. It was one and only one. But in a non-Jewish ceremony, including a secular ceremony where there wasn't any religion behind it, I've had some very interesting experiences through the Heart Center because I could experience the love that the couple was experiencing, even though they didn't realize how powerful it was at the time. Maybe I was feeling that. But tell us about your goddess experience now that I've rambled
I
on.
want to hear Gary's talk about his.
Well, my goddess experience is this. I have a connection with Kali Ma, and my experience of the goddess has been via Kali Ma. And the beauty of the whole thing is, from my point of view, is this that my and I have all kinds of Kali stuff here in my room. I got Kali statues, Kali paintings, because I have a real connection with Kali Ma, and consider myself a devotee of Kali Ma. I also have a very, very, very strong connection with Jesus too. But they're not mutually exclusive in any way. But in terms of the goddess, and this is why I wanted to talk to you about that specifically, is because that connection with the goddess freed me up from all this guru, disciple bullshit. In other words, that wonderful connection that I have with Kali Ma enables me to not, get too caught up in any of this crap that involve spirituality and gurus and teachings and all that, because she freed me from that shit. Because as long as you're there with your folded hands looking up at somebody wearing robes on some throne, thinking you're going to ascend to his level or her level, via their grace, whatever they, is complete. I won't say utter bullshit, because some people go that route, but I'm saying it's not necessary. And or I should say, from my own experience, when you are liberated from that by the goddess or by the guru or by whomever, whomever or whatever is the instrument or the occasion of that, like Roger was the occasion of that experience you had. He didn't give it to you, but that was the occasion. The same thing with Alo. I don't think Alo gave you anything, but that was the occasion for that thing to happen. So in other words, now I'm kind of lost my train of thought, but in other words, to be free of all these ideas and concepts about what the spirituality is. So that's very liberating. So anyway, so my devotion, let's say to Kali, is in a form of gratitude for her liberating me from all these, which seem now to be just silly, ignorant ideas about what it's all about in terms of, you know, the spiritual path, the guru, this and that, and the other thing. But I want to hear about your experience.
Yeah, too much attachment. You know, I have these experiences and I think they're great, but I don't have attachment to them. You know, it's like, but I like to share them because I want to hear other people what they have to say.
Right. Yeah, we want to hear
So,
that.
um, I seem to have this, I don't know what it is, propensity towards spiritual dreams. And I had one teacher, he was a Taoist teacher. He lives here in Ottawa. He's a lawyer of all things. And his specialty is interpreting spiritual dreams. And he taught me that spiritual dreams are those dreams that you have when you're sleeping that are so freaking real that you wake up in bed and either you're screaming or you know, you want to get out of there. I don't know. They're really jarring. So one day in Ottawa, I was having a really bad day. I was sort of praying, I guess, the way I was taught that I'm unhappy. I want my life to change. And that's when I went to bed and I had the dream of Mary of Guadalupe. St. Mary of Guadalupe, my mom has a big painting in her bedroom, and I grew up with that, looking at that my whole life. And, but I never had any attachment to it, so I was quite shocked. And her face was my sister. It was my sister's face. She didn't say anything. She didn't say, let it be, or anything like that. She just looked at me with so much love and compassion. You know, all my sadness just disappeared. And then I woke up because it was like she was floating in my bedroom or something. She wasn't there when I woke up. So I've had other spiritual dreams, but that's the only one I had with the Divine Mother. I was happy to have it.
Was that when the Portuguese kids?
Mexican. It was in Mexico,
Guadalupe.
Guadalupe.
Yeah, Guadalupe. Okay. Yeah, tell the story of it. Tell the story.
So there was it was actually a man, a single man. His name was Juan. I don't know his full name, but he was walking by this sacred spot in Mexico. It was sacred before the Spaniards got there. So, and that's when he had the apparition of Virgin Mary, one of the big ones. And the miracle is, like, Mary told him to go back to the Spanish priest in town and say, build me a temple on this hill. And he said, well, the priest's never going to believe me that I saw you. So she painted that picture on the back of his robe like a miracle. And it turns out, scientifically speaking, these paints were not even invented back when this took place. I don't know, 1500s. I have no idea. It was probably long older than that. And well, as soon as the priest saw it, he knew that something was up. And this poor Mexican guy ended up having like 2 or 3 more apparitions. So, and also there was roses involved. When he rolled his cape out, all these fresh roses came out, and they weren't growing at that time of year or in that area. So that was kind of cool. I love miracles. That's kind of basically the story in a nutshell.
Okay, so let's talk about spiritual experiences in general, and then I want to get to my point. So spiritual experiences, we've all had these wonderful, fabulous spiritual experiences. I had my own in the while I was in the center too, and even though, yes, the guru did turn out to be a creep, I think that's a very good word to describe him, yet I cannot deny that while I was in the center, I had these wonderful, marvelous spiritual experiences, and here's the point I'm trying to make, that I later figured out, well, you know, may have been connected with him, may not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But now I'm saying, so you have these experiences, and like all experiences, they come and go. No matter how exalted, how transcendental, how elevated, they come and go. So then my question, and I ask this to everybody, like, okay, so now what? Where is the Divine Mother now, or where is Krishna now? In other words, I just want to tell a little quick story. Well, like Papaji went to Ramana Maharshi, and he's going on about all these. Yeah, I cavort with Krishna. I go, blah, 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 and then Ramana stops him and says, Okay, yeah, great, wonderful. But where's Krishna now? So that's the whole thing is like, where's the Divine Mother now? So I want to hear what you have to say about that.
So to me, the Divine Mother is the female aspect of the divine in the universe. There's also a male aspect, like Shiva and stuff. So for me, the Divine Mother is Mother Earth. And she can come to you. It's a spirit. Like I believe in spirits, like, but it's more of an energy, right? And I believe in earth spirits, spirits of the ancestors, um, plant spirits, animal spirits. It's all related to animism, indigenous spirituality. And yeah, when I go out and I talk to the trees, there's an aspect of the divine there. So for me, I I pray to the Divine Mother. I see her in everything. I see her in my music. I see her in my cooking. I see her in my work, and she's everywhere. It's hard to explain.
No, you explain it well because, in other words, it's a living experience. It's not something that happened like in 1972 when I was. No, in other words, it's now. It's a living experience. So this, to me, is where the rubber meets the road. This is what it's all about. It's a living, present experience. It's not something that happened yesterday. It's not something that happened that may happen again tomorrow or never again. It's a living presence, and I think that's it. Unless it's a living presence, it's just a memory.
I loved Ethna's story about when she read something from Sri Ramakrishna or something, and
Yes,
he
yes,
suggested that people pray to the Divine Mother as if you were a child crying for your mother,
right.
and she'll come. She'll help you. She'll be there.
That was my experience in a way, because in other words, and Ramakrishna gives another example. He says that the mother is always there, like the mother or a mother at the kitchen window looking out at the child. The child is in the sandbox, is playing, is happy. So the mother's, hey, let him play, let her play. Why go out there? And then, but once the kid, and this is the same story, a little variation. Once the kid drops the pail and the shovel, and now he doesn't want to play, and the thing, he starts crying. The mother comes then. Then, not before, not before. As long as that child is entertaining himself with whatever fantasy is going on in his or her mind, the mother is not going to. Why disturb it? But once that child starts again crying for the mother, like
I
that's
couldn't agree with you more. That's exactly my experience.
that's exactly my experience too. And that's why I'm glad you're telling this particular story. And Ethna also brought that out because that was her story too. But you have to have that inner cry, or otherwise, why would the mother or the father or whatever bother? You're having fun. Enjoy yourself.
Okay, so with that said, what about the possibility that you actually feel that feminine energy inside of you, as well as the masculine energy, and instead of seeing a separate entity in gender form, you actually are becoming that mother energy,
I agree with that
because
too.
that's the experience I think consciousness is having anyway. If we see ourselves as God, just manifesting in a physical form, we become that form if we can feel that form. So rather than separate those entities, on an outside mind state, we have to feel that we are that divine mother and divine father inside. I think. I mean, that's
I think so
my.
too.
Oh, okay, so Sri Chinmoy had an image of Kali on his throne, and it was always very. It was a power image. It's her with her multiple arms and all of her weapons, you know. And I know that Sri Chinmoy went into that power zone in a lot of his meditations, you know, and that image of Kali always sat there on his throne. And I never really related to it because I was not into the power thing. Where Gary, in his Leo consciousness, feels that power all the time.
No,
I
cancel. I'm not Leo. I'm a Cancer.
Right, but what's your date?
I'm on the cusp, July 21.
Right. So you are on the cusp. My son is July 23rd. There is that Leo strength in there, even though you are a Cancer. What I'm saying is that my whole thing, um, from the opposite end of the spectrum, the Piscean end, feels a different kind of sensibility. Gary emanates power. I don't. My feeling, I mean, this is just my projection, so he can disagree with me or not. I'm just telling you from my point of view how I see him and feel him and how he relates to Kali with that structure. But for me, relating to Mother Mary, let's say, with a more kind of feminine, less destruction aspect. That's the way I feel it, but I feel it inside in a feminine way. And they say that human being is made up of both the masculine and feminine, and once the balance is met, there's that next evolution of spirit that we rise to. And I've always felt that inside, that feminine sense of compassion. I think Jesus had it as well. And that's why I relate to Jesus. So, I don't relate to it externally. I, I don't see it outside. I can only relate to it inwardly and feel it. And then whatever manifests from that is the way I lead my life. So I'd like to hear, have you had the opposite experience, the masculine experience, the Shiva experience?
No, I have to use the Shiva experience every day when I go to work.
So let's hear about that.
Well, I don't know. It's just not natural for me to go to an office every day and sit in boardrooms. I'd rather be under a tree playing the harp or something. So I have to dig deep to perform and do my job. Sure. I can't really speak much to it, but when you said that there's divine in all of us, I do believe that. I do believe there's a spark of the divine in all of us, and we can access that. Now, as far as Kali energy, I think her energy is there for people to tap into as well. With the whole Me Too movement, I saw Kali there with her weapons and her swords and chopping people's heads off. And so I think that for women in this world, we need to bring that Kali energy forward in order to get rid of the patriarchy. It's so out of balance. We have to get it back. You don't want it to be out of balance the other way either, like you said.
These gurus are less limited now, as far as I mean, they're become like life coaches. Tony Robbins and others of the ilk. I watched Rupert Spira the other day. They're kind of like Eckhart Tolle. They're not that Indian Hindu saint that came over in the 70s or 80s. There's a whole different ball game now as far as enlightenment goes. And
That's fairly new, in my opinion. When you have to remember that Hinduism was here for tens of thousands of years. But you're right. It's I think it's great that there's modern gurus like that. It's awesome.
so that's yes. The non-duality group, which has become very, very prevalent and very big. I mean, on the internet, on Facebook,
Are they
everybody.
atheists or something, or what's
Well,
the other?
Gary can give you more information about that, but I I understand their thinking about that. I don't necessarily connect with it. So I have to stay away from um, uh, opinionating about that because it's just something that I don't personally feel. To me, it's like a mental construct. But Gary seems to be, I guess, can you explain it better, Gary?
Yeah, I kind of missed Mariana's question leading into the non-duality thing. I kind of missed what your comment.
Are non-dualists, wherever you say it, are they atheists?
Oh, well, yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of them are because I mean, that seems to be the case. They would say God is just a story, God is just a concept. So I think a lot of non-dualists, I guess we call them that, are atheists. However, I'm not an atheist in the least. Uh, anything but an atheist. I'm definitely a God person, 100% God person, and yet I consider myself to be a badass, hard ass, non-dual motherfucker when it comes down to non-duality. I'm right there with the most hardcore, and yet listen, you don't have the beauty to me of non-duality is nothing is excluded. There's nothing excluded. So you're an atheist, so what? You believe in God, so what? Who cares? You do whatever you do whatever you feel led to do. And let's get back to Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna had, well, if we can trust the words in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, had one of the highest, most exalted, very similar to your own experience of through his guru Todapuri becoming the universe. So he knew he. So how non-dual does it get? If I am, or you are, or we are the universe, it doesn't get any more non-dual than that. But he came back and said, no, I don't want to be sugar. I want to taste sugar. And so he continued his devotional relationship to Mother Kali. He prayed to her, leave a trace of ego so that I can worship you, because he wanted to taste the sugar rather than be the sugar. Other people said, no, I don't want to. I want to be the sugar. So I relate to Ramakrishna so much. And one of the benefits that I had of my membership in the Sri Chinmoy Center was that when I was there, Sri Chinmoy didn't promote. He might have mentioned Ramakrishna, but I was there that I discovered Ramakrishna because who had the bookstore up the street?
Devashish.
I walked in one day and I was drawn to this book, The Gospel of Ramakrishna. I read it. It totally blew me away. And so I always was a sort of a, and then Lex Hickson came. He was a devotee, and his wife Sheila were devotees of Ramakrishna and the mother. So again, there was this Ramakrishna thing going on in this, like as a little, subtext in the center. But what I was going to say was that, oh, so I'm kind of like a minor, a little mini version of Ramakrishna, like a mini version in the sense that, yeah, yeah, I'm the whole thing too. And I want to taste the sugar because I love this devotional, this bhakti never left me. Another thing we got from the center is bhakti. That was the center, love, devotion, surrender. So in other words, you can swing both ways. And that was the beauty of Nisargadatta too, because he said, I realize myself as nothing. That's called wisdom. Because I'm nothing, everything. But then I swing back and I realize myself as love. I'm everything. So in other words, there's no exclusivity in the real non-dual thing, in the real non-dual point of view. It's open to everything. It includes everything because everything is contained within this vast field of consciousness, let's call it.
So the surrender that we had in the center was surrender to the guru. But later on, I came to, I don't know if it's understanding or feeling that the surrender is really allowing yourself to move away from the mind structure and the ego and just surrender to what is rather than to surrender to who is. So I don't see a God figure in the sense of either a guru, a guy sitting on a throne. I no longer, and I don't know why, I guess I just slipped into it one day. It just doesn't equate anymore in my sensibility. I just feel the wholeness inside of me is the everything, and we're just all that. We're all part of that. Now, if that's part of non-duality, maybe I'm more aligned with it than I thought. But there's no God or there's no feminine entity that I pray to, no masculine entity that I pray to. It's just a sense of all that is. Yeah. I can't explain it other than that.
I've never had an experience with the divine masculine. I've only had an experience with the divine feminine. That's why I go in that direction.
We had an experience with Sri Chinmoy.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, he was the divine masculine in a
Yeah.
way,
But
even
I
though
never thought of him that way. I never really had a close connection with him in any way.
I didn't, I'm with you 100%, Mariana. I never had an experience of the divine masculine either. It's always been the feminine, and largely, though perhaps not exclusively, although I would say pretty much through Kali Ma. I never had any masculine experience, and I don't consider the guru that we had in the center to be an embodiment of the divine masculine, anything but. So I connected with him more than Alo. I did, but as a guru, I never bought into the idea that he was actually, a manifestation of God. And that never clicked. He was just a guru who was going to guide me to this, the self-realization or what he called God realization. But so I'm with you. I'm a divine feminine guy.
since we're going to have Stephen Martin on the show, why don't you tell us about your experience with the Sacred Gardener?
Well, I was on the internet one day and I found their website, and I instantly knew that I wanted to learn more. Everything he was saying, no one had ever put into words before, and here he was putting it into words about, the sacredness of Mother Earth, about how the plants are gifts to us, how there's a co-creation going on. There's reciprocity. I tend the plant, and then the plant looks after me through medicine or food or whatever. And what else? So I went, and I had there were so many like-minded people there. It was great. And I learned so much. I loved the ceremony. He teaches you so much. And I saw really cool stuff there. Like, I mentioned that when we're in ceremony, the birds come out of the trees and join us. It's like so cool. And all kinds of miracles like this were going on while I was there. But I learned so much. I incorporate what I learned there into my own life. He thinks we should all be doing ceremony in our own way. So burning a piece of incense and saying a prayer, making an offering to the plants before you cut them. This is all ceremony. And he said, do your own ceremony. It's trial and error. But I love doing ceremony with a small group of people in a circle. That's when magic really happens. It happens in both ways, but all I can do is, Stefan, you said when you spoke to Stephen, you felt a connection. Have you ever thought about going to the Sacred Gardener School in White Lake, Ontario? Oh, not White Lake, Golden Lake.
Yeah. No, I haven't thought about it. I want to speak to him further. But while you were talking, I just thought about the fact that the trees, the plants, they're all rooted to the earth. So we also have roots. They may be unseen, but we're still rooted to something within the natural order of things. Even though we can move around on the planet, fly up in the air and do all those kinds of things, there's still those roots that we have that are tied to everything else, not only on this planet, but in the universe, in the galaxy. I mean, we're rooted to the galaxy. We don't even appreciate how strong that root is, and the galaxy being rooted to the universe, and then to the cosmos, and to all those multidimensional states. We walk around like we're, left alone or something, but there is a thread that ties us all together,
I
and
agree.
we're not appreciating it at this time. But I think, my friend Robert Potter did a whole series of books called Letters from 500, where he had a download about our future evolution, and the next level of species will be on this planet. And it seems that uh, they were all intertwined. There was a sense of oneness between everybody. That whole ego thing was not necessarily um, brought to an end, but it was just defined in a different way. There was a greater understanding amongst the beings that existed here. So I guess, from a spiritual point of view, that's where we're supposed to be heading. That's what I'm hoping will happen eventually. Maybe after the next 1,000 or so years, we'll have gotten to that point.
He's really big on, you know, um, being in touch with our ancestors and doing things the way our ancestors did. And your ancestors are always with you, like
That's
you have.
part of our root. That's part of our root system.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask you about the spirits he talks about. So when you were there, did you have experience with the spirits that were on the ground?
Uh, well, the spirit spoke to me through the birds, and you could, like, there was one lady who stood by the sacred. She was upset over a couple of things. She was a vegetarian, and we had been served wild venison for supper the night before, and we had had a sacred fire the night before, and she was walking around it, and all of a sudden this big, all like about 20 blue jays came into the tree beside her and flew in the tree, and it was as if the ancestors were trying to tell her, it's okay, like, maybe look into this some more, talk to people. I don't know, I can't really explain it. There's no words for it. As you know, Stephen's very good at using words to explain the unexplainable.
So let's talk about the singing now, because you had brought up how powerful that was for you. And
Wonderful.
you said that you wanted to demonstrate uh, in song something that you had experienced. Can you?
Can I first talk about the second most powerful experience I ever had about singing? And then I'll get in. Then, if you want to hear a song, I'll sing it. I was at my cottage, beautiful spot overlooking a lake in Ontario wilderness. And I was singing like Guru taught us to sing. I had a whole singing book. I was singing from the heart. I was singing each song at least 3 times. And after about half an hour or so, whoosh, I could feel this energy coming towards me from the lake really, really fast. And poof, it hit me. And this time I'm wide awake and I could feel the heart center open and everything. And it was so palpable, I couldn't say anything. I was just like sitting there with my mouth open. And then my mother comes running out of the cottage. She felt it too. We just looked at each other, couldn't talk. I couldn't talk for another couple hours. I was like so high up there. And that was a high experience, but I would just love singing the songs. I would sing them all the time. I'd sing them in my head. I would sing them while I was swimming. I would sing them all day long. I love the music. It really spoke to me. And you know about the ancient Baul tradition from Bangladesh. If you Google it, I think it's, what's the word? UNESCO World Heritage Cultural thing is this Baul singing. And that's where Guru got it from. He learned from the Bauls. And it's very similar. Um, you know, Guru taught us songs in Sanskrit and in Bengali, that's it. And if you want me to sing a song to demonstrate, I can.
Absolutely, bring it on.
So it's a very soulful song. You have to sing it from your heart. Uta tumi baudi moder hridai nahi baja priya esufire arbar tomar amar jani nahi baja bayata jani esufire esufire Tabatamu That's it.
Beautiful.
The song speaks about where have you been for so long? The violin of my heart is out of tune. Come back to the heart of your soul, or something like that.
So that's
So
one of Sri Chinmoy's Bengali songs.
yes. I learned it from Mountain Silence from their cassette. I love that song.
Well, I'll have to say that whatever wasn't right at the center, when the Bengali singers got up on the stage and sang, they definitely took you to another place, you know? Even if you were in a mood that you just didn't want to be there, you didn't want to meditate, enough of this already. Their singing really did bring you
It
into
really did.
a much higher state of consciousness. So, yeah. See, but that's again the whole tonality thing, the vibrational thing. Not only music, but the sense of song that we're able to vibrate out of our beings and raise our consciousness just when we alone chant Om. The vibratory resonance of that word can take you to another space. So
Music is very healing. It can bring you to that place for sure. It's pretty special.
next to the goddess,
Gods and
next
goddesses,
to next to the mother.
all of that.
Well,
Yeah.
Saraswati in the Hindu pantheon of gods and goddesses, Saraswati, I believe, is the goddess of music. So she's the one. And the Greeks had their own, the muse, whatever. So yeah, there is this tradition of particular goddesses in different traditions being like, the bestower of music. I think it's Saraswati.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay, so after the center.
After the center. Oh,
So
that's what
tell us about you leaving the center and then continuing on a spiritual path, if you have in fact continued on a spiritual path.
shortly after the center, I got involved in the electronic dance music scene in Ottawa. Made lots of friends.
That's spiritual.
Oh yeah, dancing in a group when you're all in the same, doing the same thing, listening with a big heavy bass. It would transport you. It was like going into a trance almost. It was wonderful. I loved it. I did that for a few years. Then I met my husband and got married, and he's a soldier, and he's not spiritual in the way that I am. But it's all good. We balance each other out. And then I joined some choirs. I joined the military wives choir, and I sang at Invictus Games. I sang at Carnegie Hall. I sang at football games, hockey games. It was a real great experience, a group of women again singing. And what else did I do? Joined the Sacred Gardener School. Right now I'm studying Qigong and Tai Chi with a teacher from Hong Kong here in Ottawa. I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now. And I find it really does give me energy as a 60-year-old, I need that energy.
Are your meditations from time to time continuing?
I meditate. Oh, at one point I was meditating with the lawyer I told you about who was a Taoist teacher, and he's the guy who interprets dreams. So yeah, we would get together as a small group and meditate together every Sunday, but then everybody moved away. And now I meditate with my Qigong teacher. I retire next year, 2026, November. Yes. I hope to have so much more time and energy to devote to the things that I love, like singing and meditation. And my husband and I hope to do a lot of traveling over the next few years. He retires early next year. We're going to go on a world cruise in 2027. Not that I'm really, from an environmental standpoint, I understand that cruising is not good for the environment, but we have this opportunity, so we're going to take it.
Well, you've done a lot of things since you left the center, huh?
I sure have. Sports, I forgot to talk about sports. I was really into swimming at one time, competitive masters swimming. I did that for 13 years, from 29 to like 41 or something. And yeah, I swam at the World Masters Swimming Championships in Montreal with people from all over the world. It was wonderful. And I did other sports too. I do feel, again, sports can get you there, runner's high.
Well, Sri Chinmoy was definitely into sports. I mean, his sports days, his running club.
He's known as a running guru, like the jogging
Yeah.
guru. I was never a runner, much, just a little bit. Triathlons.
The things we did at the center, outside of just the meditation, was quite varied.
People
That was one
swam
of
the
the
English
clubs.
Channel, long distance swimming. They were my heroes.
Who swam the English Channel?
Oh, there was a few of them. German and Swiss girls. I knew them personally. And also, I think that Canadian guy from the Kingston Center, I think he did it as well. As an older man, he did it.
So, do you have any connection anymore with disciples up in Canada?
Oh, yeah, a little bit, mostly online through the groups and whatnot. They're my Facebook friends. I had a get together here. It's been a few years now, over 5 years, I think. We had a couple in Ottawa. That's slowly fading away. But yeah, it was a incredible 4 years. It definitely changed my life for the better, probably.
I think everybody gets life changed for the better in some way or the other,
Don't throw that baby out with the bathwater.
No, no. Listen to the songs and the poems and the stories. They all have some kind of connection to you and can bring you a lot of power in your life if you don't look at the source, but just think about the message, right?
I like singing. I still like to sing in a small group of people in a community choir. It's how they did it for, while they were picking the cotton or digging the garden or whatever. They've been doing it since time immemorial,
Right.
singing together. It's a very human thing. It's very special.
Yeah, I like this idea of very much not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There's a little story about Trungpa, Chogyam Trungpa, the Tibetan Buddhist guy who started the whole Shambhala thing. By all accounts, Trungpa, by all accounts, was a very enlightened guy. He's been recognized by other, Zen masters and stuff like that. Okay, but he was also one of these quote unquote bad gurus. He drank himself to death. He slept with a whole number of women, and he did all kinds of crazy stuff. Unlike Chinmoy, he was much more open about it. He didn't bullshit. He says, yeah, I drink, I cavort with women, blah blah blah. So here's the point. Whereas Chinmoy, my God, that was the biggest secret in the world. Oh God. Trump was open about it. So one time, somebody walked up to him and said, "Listen, you're an alcoholic," and he did die of vodka poison, alcoholism. You're sleeping with women. Why should I listen to you? So Trump said a very significant thing. He said, "Listen, trust the teaching, not the teacher." So a lot of good things came through Chinmoy, and even Alo Devi, after she, quote unquote, this is Chinmoy's quote, she lost her realization in the 1990s. Apparently, she was still being able to whatever with different disciples that, like Maryanna said, got experiences. So again, trust the teaching, not the teacher. Good things can come through flawed, very flawed individuals, teachers, especially gurus. And so we got a lot from the center. Some of that great stuff from the center. Hey, you're still with me? It's living. It's living now. It's not a memory. It's alive now. It's right here, right this very second. So I didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, nor would I ever, because we got the whole bhakti, devotional thing, surrender. So yes, so the guru came and went, and but the essentials, the teaching, the real teaching, is still there. So I'm glad we brought that up about don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Take what's of value. It's like separating the wheat from the chaff kind of thing. You take what's of value and you don't bother with the rest too much. We're done with with the whole thing with what the guru did and blah blah blah. Who cares at this point? But what we have is living. It's real, and it what keeps us fueled and fired, man. We're fired up. The flame of aspiration will never go out. Hopefully.
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 Do you still have books and any photos, remnants from the center?
I got rid of most of it, but I did keep a lot of the music. I still have cassette tapes, CDs, sheet music. I kept it. It's a good day when I get to talk to you and Gary, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Maryanna. It was great. I love it. And I love, hearing about, especially ex-disciples' experiences and, where they've come to in their lives, and you're at a very beautiful place, and your story, very fascinating and illuminating, I must say. So thanks for coming on. And we'll talk to, what's the guy's name again? Sacred Garden, Stephen
Martin.
We're going to talk to him, and now I have a little more feel for him, because I didn't really have a feel for him because I'm not a nature person, gardening and stuff like that, elementals. But we had Attila on, and that was very informative because Attila is very much into the earth spirits and stuff. She was great, so I'm sure Stephen will be great. But having you on now makes me feel more comfortable, maybe with him, because I have a little more orientation. So great, and love to hear. And let's face it, anybody who is a devotee or has a connection with the Divine Mother, I'm there. I'm right with you. So we're like, hey, it's like this.
Great talking to you guys.
And all I
Thank
want
you
to say
so
is,
much.
all I want to say is, fule.
Esho, 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 duara chikola. Esho, esho, joy tirate, ful pichana.